Uh, so basically, I want to take you through the beginning things about networks. So networking basically, first of all, the reason why they created networks in the beginning was it actually happened in the. I happened to learn about it of recent. It happened in the fourth generation of computers. Computers were becoming smarter, and people wanted to share information across different computers. And you find that you want the person from one area to receive the same information. Things like military, they required information to be sent fast and also securely. So that's when information started to really be taken seriously to the extent that they wanted to share it as fast as possible. So if you look at that, how it began, you can easily understand what the meaning is. So basically, it's a connection of two or more devices in order to share resources among each other. So if you have like the way you're sharing information here, you maybe are connecting to your internet service provider, your ISP, and is the one who is sharing data to you, and you are the one connecting to the internet through the person's data. So, and you're able to share your information, your audio and your video. So the same thing applies to networks. Basically, that's what networks are supposed to help you do. So the next thing I want to talk about is the advantages of networks. So one of them is sharing resources. So basically, networks help share resources, share files uh, through, if you're in a network, like the same way you share information through WhatsApp, it's the same thing, sharing files. That is through a network. The application is the one which is just helping you to share the information. So uh, then the next thing is sharing resources. So y- I'm sure many of you use things like like the same way when you lack space. I'm sure most some of you are Apple users, so you find that they'll ask you if you want to have extra space, and they give you some space on their cloud storage. So by doing that, they're basically sharing with you their space. It's the same thing. You can basically, you're connecting to their servers, and you're just getting a portion of the space which they've given you, the space which you have bought. Most of the times it's buying. Also, Android has it. Google. They sell their space. I think it's is it $2 for you to get, like, is it 1 terabyte of space? I'm not sure. So so they can give space for you to keep your information. So then the next one is share programs. Now there are many programs which we can share. Now, like, let's say most softwares you can easily share them. Uh, like if you like a particular software, you can just share the link and someone receives the software. So that's one example of sharing a program. Then enables communication with one another. So the same way you're communicating with each other, that's basically it. Then to communicate to multiple people at the same time, same thing applies. I'm able to communicate to people at the same time just by connecting to Google Meet, and people are receiving the information at the same time. Then you can easily purchase more storage through the cloud service provider online. So, sorry, that was a mistake, but you get the point. So you can easily, yeah, get space from the service provider. Uh, there's what they call if you advance into cloud-based services, there's what they call IIS, PaaS, PaaS, then SaaS. Basically, that is there are companies which provide services online. There is what they call software as a service, that is SaaS. So basically, they provide you a software as a product, like something like Microsoft Office Online. Then there is also platform as a service. You use the platform, but you don't iterate it in any way. That can be something like WhatsApp. You don't make changes to the platform, you just use partially part of it. Or the way you can deploy your website on something. Then infrastructure as a service, that one is like, let's say you want to install a computer of itself, but you don't have the hardware for installing a computer. You can literally buy space from a particular vendor. There are many of them. Uh, so you install the software there, actually the operating system and everything. Even can set up a web server or anything like that. Just by doing that, you're able to connect online. So, is there any questions you have about such things before we continue? Uh, guys, do you have a question? Okay. Disadvantages of networks. Now, networks have many advantages, but obviously, uh, everything has both good and bad. So, with networks, you can delete information anyhow because you can delete information anyhow because it will affect others in the network. So, if you noticed, most of the times, if you're working in a serious networking area where they have networked the computers very well, uh, if you delete information anyhow, when someone is using it on one computer or the other, because with networks you'll find that there's a particular resource which people are using it, or you're connecting to the server like the way you used to do at Isbat, where you just click remote desktop and you connect. If you delete things anyhow, it affects the next person, the next user who's going to use it. I hope you get the point. So, also security is a big problem. Now, if you notice, when you're connecting to a server, uh, you're prone to have issues of security. If you're using a server, you're prone to have issues of security. When companies like Google, Microsoft are hacked or Amazon, it's a big issue because obviously they are big companies and they have large servers and computers. So security is really taken seriously. You find that they always employ what they call white hat hackers. So basically, they employ you to check if their system can withstand being hacked. So basically, your job is to go and you test out their system, find out the vulnerabilities before the actual hackers come in. Not saying that these ones are not actual hackers, but you get my point. If they don't find vulnerabilities, it means that the people can easily hack it. Means that yeah, there are some glitches that they've not found. It can either be a good thing that it's safe, or it can either be a bad thing that they were not able to find uh, a a path where they can easily penetrate. So if you are sharing a printer, one has to wait in order to for others to finish. So if you notice, when you're working in a network, basically, since you're sharing a resource, now in this example, a printer, you find that most of the times you find that there's someone else using it. So you have to wait in line in order to use it. Basically, that's it. Then sensitive information. Yeah, I mean, you can easily be infected by viruses given to you by someone else. What's happening? Okay. So basically that's it. Uh, so now, since you're getting information from there, you can also be infected by the information you're getting from the network. Take for example, most of the times uh, schools usually block ports because students usually come in. He places in his flash. I don't know where he has got it from. There's some virus maybe they have in their computers at home. Then they bring it to the computers in the school. Then it affects the rest of the lab. Then it affects the whole server. So it's a big issue. So you find that the best and the most safe way of keeping your network from a particular computer or a network from being disturbed by such things is usually through blocking the ports. And blocking the ports is very easy. I remember showing you guys. Um, let's see. What's happening? Do you have questions right now?
Like your screen, we can't see it properly.
You're not seeing anything.
No, we can see, but it's so small.
Are you using your phone?
No, PC.
I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah, I can't see anything.
You can't see anything completely. Wow. But are you following? Because this you can easily get it on
It,
YouTube.
it's
Hmm?
just the video you put on the YouTube.
Yeah. So
Okay.
if just listen to my voice as I'm explaining things, things will just click when you see them. Uh, I'm sorry for the inconvenience, but I don't know how to fix that one. Probably it's just
I fixed it. Like it was unpinned, then I pinned it. It came like to full screen.
mm, okay. Can we continue?
Yes.
Okay. Then so I was talking about what by the what was I talking about, guys? Diversion, please. Okay, I was talking about you can easily be infected by a virus to give you given to you by someone else. So you find that whenever in a network, people can easily bring in stuff, or you can easily get an application from someone else or a file from someone else which you don't know is infected, and you transfer it to your computer. Please, who is it? Harry. Okay. So that's how you can easily lose information. So sensitive information can easily be breached. So if your network is not networked very well, you'll find that in networking there's what they call permissions. And if you have not created proper permissions for different people, you end up finding that people can easily use your computer anyhow. So you need to make sure that the security is up to date, and you make sure that uh, in most companies you find that the people in finance cannot access the information as the same one as those ones in security. And the reason why most of the time such things happen is because you don't want everyone to be accessing the same information, and you don't want people to breach your information, because there are some people who just come in maliciously and try taking stuff, and it can be a problem to get it back. So the network should be up and running all the time. So you find that if, like, let's say a bank has an issue with the server, it can be a serious problem for the whole the whole place. Reason being, you find that people are not able to access their money, people are not able to register new users, new nothing can be done completely. So whenever the server goes down, it's a problem. Network goes down, it's a problem. So how to solve the problems? You can set up permissions to avoid anyone else from easily deleting the critical information. So by doing that, you are able to mitigate one of the issues. You can limit the boundaries of where the information is to be accessed. So uh, if you learn about things like Windows Server, you know, you find out that you can set permissions to particular people. At the same time, you can set permissions to particular areas to be accessing a particular information in that particular area. I hope you get what I'm meaning. So you find that someone who is in let's say Kampala cannot access the same information as the person in Mbarara because of the security reasons. You don't want anyone, even if you have a high post, you don't want them to easily access the information from anywhere else. You never know, it is something malicious happening. So that is one option. You can add more printers in the network to divide the labor between the two. So like, let's say this printer issue of being having one printer. The best option is to add another one, and that will divide the labor. In networks also, you find this common in what they call there's what they call a domain. I don't want to go so deep, but a domain is basically a particular, like Kampala, like Equity Kampala is a domain of a particular company, and you find that it has different domains. You find that Equity domain is there, then Equity Kampala domain is there, then Equity Mbarande domain is there, then Equity Mukono or something domain is there. So all these domains are in the different branches. So if you find that, let's say, if you find that, let's say, you want to protect your people from not accessing your information, there is a thing of the domain. So the domain can protect you from people from accessing your information from other areas. So the people within the domain can easily access the information within their information within there, but someone else cannot access it. And the people who are accessing it from other branches, like the ones from Mbarara who access the one for Kampala, they are accessing it at a limited option of what to do and what not to do, which is a good thing for networks. Then You should set up a strong antivirus to avoid downloading infected files. That's also a very good one. Then there's one which has just come up in my head right now. Uh, you can easily, most networks need to be updated, and it's a key thing in networks. You find that without updating, you find that your network will struggle seriously. Struggling how? You find that people will end up misusing. I mean, whenever they deploy a new update, like let's say Apple releases a new update of, uh, of let's say your iOS. So so you'll find that with those new updates, there are new security patches. Whenever they release such things, you'll realize that most of the times people have already found a way of going through that security. So by installing that new update, you're protecting yourself and your company and others from being attacked by hackers. Because the same way as the people who are creating are not sleeping, also the hackers are not sleeping. They're always looking for new ways of hacking you. So if you find that you're using the same operating system like the full time, you find that most of the times it'll be easier to hack you because most people have already found the vulnerabilities in that old system. But with the new system, there's a new way of implementing everything that will protect your computer and other resources on the network. Okay. Components of a LAN. So one of the components is node. So node is basically any device in a network which can send and receive information. So node can be anything, any device can be a computer. Most of the times, nodes are referred to as computers, but it can be any device. So then there's what they call a network interface card. So network interface card. In the olden days, you would find that for you to be able to access the internet on your computer, uh, there had to be the network interface card connected. You had to actually buy it. It wasn't part of the whole setup. But nowadays, if you buy your laptop, it's already custom built inside. So you don't need to again go and purchase a new one. Even all these most new motherboards always have that option of the Ethernet already connected to it. So you don't need to buy an extra one. But in the olden days, you'd find that you need to actually buy the network interface card. Even in Kampala here right now, this is also still use such things. And you find that some networks you'll find that they have like two network interface cards. It's them those ones are used now if you want to connect multiple computers together. That one also can be a very good idea, but it's very rare for many people to do that. So then the modem. A modem is a device that is used to convert analog data into digital data for transmission over a phone line, cable, or satellite. So I guess that one I've exhausted it. Then these hubs. Hubs are devices that link several computers and get information from one port and repeats it to the other port. Okay, the simple of explaining what hubs are and what hubs can do is when you look at a hub itself, it looks like a switch. And if you know what a switch does, it basically sends information from one port to the other port. But the difference is hubs came before switches, and hubs were designed in a way that whenever information was sent through a switch, through a hub, you would find that information is sent to all the ports instead of sending to one single port. So that's the problem with hubs. So you find that I want to talk to maybe Liz, but for some reason hubs used to send information to the other people who are in the network. So there are two types of hubs: active hubs and passive hubs. Active hubs use electronics to amplify and clean up the signal before it broadcasts it to other ports. Then the passive hubs connect all ports electrically and usually not powered. Then there's what they call repeaters. So these are small devices that receive information electrically, wirelessly, and optical signals and retransmit them to spots that Ethernet and Wi-Fi data can reach. So repeaters nowadays are used, but not so much on normal networks. You find that if you want to amplify the signal and you send it, that's what repeaters are used for. So most Ethernet cables have a limit of 100 meters. Even if it exceeds 100 meters, you have those things of ESD, electrostatic destruction. So with 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 ESD affecting the the, the Ethernet, you find that you need something like a repeater in the middle there, which will amplify the signal. Then you put another Ethernet of 100 meters. Then you put another repeater, something like that. So that's where repeaters are used. Guys, are you there? Excuse me. Guys, are you available? Ivanshi. Ivanshi.
Yes,
Yeah, are you there? Have you been
I'm
following?
there.
Liz, have you
Pardon?
been following? Have you been following what I've been saying?
Yes.
Now, what about you, Liz?